So now we're getting into the long-term goals. So you want to mention the PhD. Why is this degree necessary for you? Why do you want a PhD? It just can't be as simply as, oh, because I want to make my family happy, or I because I just want to, right? You have to be more specific about that. You have to also be realistic and specific about your career goals. So you just can't say, well, after graduating from my PhD program, I'm going to be the president of a community college right away. It takes a while to get to the presidency of a university or for a college. It's not that it's unrealistic, but you have to set a timetable for that, and you have to be specific as to what you want to do. So you say, do you want to be an assistant professor in a tenure track level at a community college in the Chicagoland area, or I want to be an assistant professor tenure track in a Hispanic serving institution, right? So you're specific as to what you want to do, and it is realistic. So after you graduate with your PhD, you could go and apply for a Hispanic serving institution. Maybe you can go back to Northeastern. So you're specific, and of course you're realistic. Also, you want to emphasize what would you like to do with that degree, not just specific title, but more what would you do. So you've listed, okay, so I want to be an assistant professor, a tenure track professor at a Hispanic serving institution, working with the community and working with a nonprofit organization also, or you want to be more specific as to what research you want to do. You may want to continue. I want to continue research on young Hispanic voter issues or voting trends. So what specific work would you want to do? And like I said, it may change after graduation. Who knows? After you graduate from a PhD program or a master's program, your whole research will greatly change. When I went into a graduate program, I was all focused on Latin American, U.S. and Latin American foreign policy. After I graduated from Oklahoma State University, my emphasis wholly changed drastically from Latin American, the U.S. and Latin American policy to young Hispanic voters, and now I'm more emphasized on higher education. So that could happen, okay? Of course, goals don't end at reaching your career. Be specific, of course, what you want to do, and also how you contribute to your field 10, 20 years down the line. When you're reading your long-term goals, right? So now we're getting into the specifics and feasible, right? Don't be overly vague, right? Don't just say, I want to help people, or I want to help my community. How so? Okay? And also, now the thing is, right, when you're specific, you don't want to be too specific, okay? So you just can't say, I'm going to be, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, or I want to be the director of a nonprofit or a specific nonprofit organization in the city of Chicago, okay? You just don't be too specific, because how do you know you will get that job? Because like I said, things will change from the time you enter graduate school to the time you graduate from graduate school. Also, make sure it's feasible, okay? There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. There's nothing wrong with that. But we want to make sure that you don't get overly ambitious where it may turn off some of the admissions, the admissions committee, okay? Don't say, like, for example, once I graduate from the PhD program, from the master's program, well, more specifically the PhD program, I'm going to be the president of Harvard University. Okay. That's probably not possible right after you graduate. To be president of Harvard it's not impossible, but there are many things you have to do before you get to that. Okay. So make honest self-projections about what you want to see as your long-term goals. So here's an example, of course, of some long-term goals. You can read this for yourself. And this is also in the essay workbook. The essay workbook you have, look into it. Look in that book. And of course, on page 26, this is one's more about educational policy. This is really a good example of long-term goals. Not vague, not too specific, but right in the middle and right at the point. And you never know, this student after graduating may have changed their long-term goals. But in the meantime, this gives the admissions committee something to kind of resonate, say, okay, maybe we can help this person accomplish their long-term goals. That's what the missions committee is also. That's why they ask, what are your long-term goals? Because it wants the committee, the graduate school wants to make sure that it can do everything and it's possible to make sure that you accomplish those long-term goals. That's why they want to make sure that you fit the program so you can accomplish those goals, right? If they look at your long-term goals and they see, well, we really want this person to succeed, but our program it just doesn't give us what we can. We don't have the capability to make sure this person achieves their long-term goals. So make sure that you just be right at the middle. Don't be overly vague. Don't be too specific. Be right at the middle. And of course, that's why those worksheets will help you out in figuring out your long-term goals. So here's just another example continuing on with the long-term goals. Now, your work and volunteer experience, right? Include those related to your academic interest, your research interest, your long-term goals. So, whatever your work and volunteer experience is, make sure that it aligns with your long-term research and academic interest. Don't, if your work and related experience had nothing to do with any of your academic or research or long-term goals, don't mention it in the essay, because it may turn off the admissions committee and say, well, why is this person writing about accounting if it has nothing to do with their long-term research or academic interest? And they may turn them off and then put you at the pile of the admissions, or may not even consider you for admissions, right? Especially for very, very competitive programs. You can save that accounting experience and put it in your CV, but don't put it in your essay if it has nothing to do with any of your long-term research or academic interest. So the skills, honors, and awards, of course. So look at your workbook on page 7. You want to look at that workbook and see, kind of specifically more in terms of the skills, honors, and awards. Include them to create a narrative. So when you get your honors, you want to say when your admissions essay, your essay is a narrative of yourself. And you want to make sure that all these skills, honors, and awards have something relate to your narrative. Because remember, you're selling yourself to the academic program, to the department. You're selling yourself. So you want to make sure that all these 3 things have a good narrative of who you are, what type of person you are, and the qualities that you can provide for the program, right? So how has these skills, these honors, and awards benefited you, and how can it benefit also the program? Now, some general do's, okay? Establish your intent early, right? Don't make the reader search for your purpose. That's why you have to be very specific. Don't make the admissions committee go crazy in terms of what is this person really trying to tell me, because honestly, the admissions committee may read the first few sentences, and if they're lost, they may not even read the rest and put your essay somewhere else and not even accept you, right? Address all the required aspects of the prompt. Make sure that you answer all the prompts asked. So like we said, we showed the example of the master's of social work at UIC. Make sure, for example, all those questions that were asked, make sure you answer those. Adequately research the program which you're applying for. Make sure that you go online and research the program. And if the university is close to you, so say for example you want to apply for the UIC program or Loyola or Northern Illinois University, make sure you go to some of their events, right? Go and speak to the current faculty and students. Make sure that's why it's important in the summer to go and visit these campuses and universities. Go and talk to the faculty. Go and talk to the students. Take advantage of it. Ask them, what are you looking for in this program? What is it like? So you can emphasize that in the essay. Of course, alter your essay as needed. You are applying to multiple schools, so make sure that you alter your essay to the needs of that school. And when you're writing your essay, make sure that you take out the name of the university that you're applying for. Say, for example, you're writing an essay and you're going to use that same essay with just a few changes for another university you're applying for. Make sure that you have the correct university name. The last thing you want is to, let's say you're applying for Northwestern University and you still leave the name of UIC there, right? That is just like a big no. Don't make sure you double and triple check you don't leave another university's name on the application. So. And the great thing about writing an essay, the first one, the personal statement, that once you have it really good and it's approved by the McNair staff, and it's a really good essay. You just may have to tweak a few things for the new admissions essay that you're going to do for a different school, right? You may have to change the prompt a little bit. Of course, make sure you write for your audience. Use discipline-specific language when appropriate. Okay, when you're applying for a social work program, master's in social work program, or even a PhD program, make sure you use some of the specific language in that field. Of course, you want to be versed well in your discipline. Speak to them not as a general reader, but more in terms of for the program and in the discipline that you're in. Some general don'ts, right? Avoid cliches. Don't I love to, I thrive. Don't write cliches on so much. Remember, this is an academic program, academic admissions. So make sure that you're writing really good and don't just avoid the cliches. The grammar, always check your grammar. That's why we're going to triple, 4 times, 5 times, even 6 times check it for grammar. You never know, just that one sentence that has a few grammar issues may prevent you from getting admitted into the program. Okay, especially if you're applying for an English graduate program, right? They're going to be very, look at your essay, and if you have just a few mistakes, they may not even consider you, right? Focus on the positives and be honest. Never plagiarize, right? Don't ever plagiarize your essay, okay? Don't lie about it, and don't do it. Just do not do it, because it will come back and haunt you, right? So don't ever, believe that nobody's going to ever find out. If, for example, if you look at page 38 of the Asher book, it talks about, a person who was applying for a school, for a Princeton University. This individual lied. If you look at there where it says warning, this individual lied about the ACT score, right? Making, admitted to fudging the class standing and ACT score. They found out it's going to affect you, right? So don't lie and don't plagiarize. During the writing, make sure you read the directions carefully. Look at the essay book, okay? We gave it to you for a specific reason. We want you to look at it as a form of guidance, okay, to help you. There were students in your shoes before who successfully got into programs. That's why we created this essay book, so you can look at it to kind of give you an idea of what the programs are looking for, and to give you an idea of how to start doing your worksheets and start writing the essay, okay? Also, strive for a strong opening and persuasive closing. You really want to have a really strong opening, okay? Now, when you're also doing this, take this very serious, okay? Take it very, very serious. These essays, all these personal statements and such, is we're putting all the pieces together now. All your experience that you have had over the last 3 or 4 years that you've had at Northeastern, we're putting it all together as a nice puzzle. Okay, think of it like a jigsaw puzzle. When you get a jigsaw puzzle, whether it's 100 or 500 pieces together, let's just pretend it's a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, right? From all your experiences that you've had, your research, everything, we're putting it all together in this essay, right? We're putting it together so we give a nice, clean look puzzle as to who you are. Okay, we don't want to give the admissions committee this box of 1,000 pieces, all crazy and all, not put together. That's not what we want. We want to give the admissions committee at the program you're applying for this nice, well-connected puzzle so they can see who you are. Okay, that's why we said we have given you plenty of time to start your drafts and do a lot of rewrites. Believe me, your first draft is not going to be your last draft, okay? Because we're going to fix it, we're going to help you revise it, and we're doing it for a purpose to make sure that it's a clean paper that gets you accepted, okay? So when you're looking at, when you continue, be aware of other essay questions, right? If you're doing other essays, make sure you take it as serious as I said. Take it very serious, okay? Make sure we polish and proofread, and you continue doing it. Make sure you do the worksheet, the Word document sheet that was shown previously. Now, avoid this. So if you look and you reference into Asher's book, if you look at the pages, we specifically mentioned these pages because it asks you what to avoid. Also, if you look on page 49, don't do outrageous things. Don't go send a 7-foot cookie, or don't send a little, little strips in those bottles. Okay, don't do things crazy. Okay, because the missions program may see that as a turnoff. Okay, don't send a picture that your niece or your daughter, your son did for you, with maybe cute and all, but don't send it to the admissions committee, because if you see on page 49, right, law school students will receive an extra letter of recommendation from one applicant, a crayon drawing from the applicant's baby sister saying, "Please admit my big sister," and that applicant was rejected. So make sure that you are specific, and please avoid making excuses and whining and feeling sorry about yourself, right? The admissions committee does not want to see that, okay? Don't make any whining excuses, okay? And make sure that you are focusing on the reader. Practice, 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 okay? We cannot emphasize more. Look at the prompt and focus and practice and practice and practice. Rewrite, and rewrite your admissions essay, your personal statement. Here is an example of an essay, okay? You can see a really strong opening, focus on the career goals, the volunteering experience that relates to their career goals and relates to the program, and the work experience. So all these experiences relate to the program, and a believable conclusion. So that's why it's important. So you can see here, every single sentence counts in this. So make sure that you are very focused and you know what you're writing. And remember, it's a strong opening and a very believable conclusion. Now, you can see here more examples, and I want to show you, for example, where you can look for universities' program and what they're looking for. So, for example, let's say you're looking for a PhD program. I'm looking at Oklahoma State University's College of Education PhD degree programs. And I've already gone into one. So, an educational technology, you can see here what are the requirements for it, right? So, for example, the educational technology, you can see here some of the documents required for admissions. You can see the statement of or professional goals, looking for the writing ability and fit between your goals and the program. So, they're not so specific in terms of what they want to see. They're just very vague on their statement, right? So you want to see here the PhD program provides advanced preparation applicants to assume leadership roles. And you can see here what they focus on, so you can see how this focus can relate to your statement of professional goals. Now, another program, of course, is the PhD program in educational psychology. Now, this program, right, it lists the school missions, the educational psychology mission. You really want to read this and look and see, okay, how does this help with what I want to do? Okay, look at the admission criteria and the procedures. Really read the statement, students' goals, and program outcomes, right? So you really want to emphasize and look into this, and so you can start writing your prompt for your admissions essay, your personal statement. Some programs are very specific, some are very vague. So you really want to just look into the programs. Like I said, develop an on-time. Make sure you mention McNair. And of course, here at the office, we're here to help. Like I said, it may take once, it may take twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times to write your admissions essay. Don't get frustrated with the staff that they keep saying rewrite. It's only to make sure that you get accepted. Many people in your shoes prior to you were in your same shoes. Okay, we were there. We also got frustrated with the process, but hey, if it wasn't frustrating, or if it wasn't that, if the staff, the McNair staff, made us rewrite our personal statements, we wouldn't gotten to accept to the programs that we got accepted to and successfully completed them. So the McNair staff is there to look out for you. They're not there to make your life frustrating. It's just we want the best for you, and we want to make sure you have the best admissions essay. So it will take time, and that's why we say start early, start in the summer. Don't wait until the fall semester, because once the fall semester kicks in, not only are you going to be busy with the admissions trying to get into a graduate program, you're also going to be busy with your other schoolwork and other things, maybe possibly even your research. So make sure that you start early and continue coming into the office to get your paper checked, and don't wait until the last minute.